I remember the morning of September 20th, 2006, like any other. I was getting ready for work, but something felt off. I didn't feel right. Nothing specific, just a sense that something wasn't right inside me. It was strange because I wasn't in any real pain, but there was this overwhelming sense of unease, a kind of discomfort I couldn't shake. So I did something I never really do. I called my boss. "I don't feel well," I said, trying to sound casual. He could tell from my voice that something wasn't right. He didn't just tell me to rest or take the day off. He urged me to go to the hospital, to the emergency room, right away. Somehow, I made it. I honestly don't remember driving there. The next thing I know, I'm in the ER and everything fades to black. I collapsed. What I didn't know at the time was that I had suffered a massive heart attack. By the time I reached the hospital, my heart had already stopped. The doctors worked on me for 40 minutes, shocking my heart 12 times, trying desperately to bring me back. But I was gone. No pulse, no breath, nothing. At that moment, Dr. Chauncey Crandall, the cardiologist on call, made the hardest decision a doctor can make. He called the time of death. Meanwhile, I wasn't just gone. I knew I was dead. I remember being in a place not of pain, but of complete emptiness. I was standing in what felt like a funeral home. It was dark, quiet, and cold. There was no one there, no friends, no family, no light. Just me, alone in this void, and I felt a deep, crushing disappointment. This was it? This was what death was? Just eternal isolation? No peace, no comfort, just darkness. But back in the hospital, something miraculous was happening. As the nurse prepared my body to be sent to the morgue, Dr. Crandall was finishing up his paperwork. That should have been the end of my story. I should have been just another statistic, another patient lost despite every effort. But God had other plans. As Dr. Crandall was about to leave the room, he heard a voice. A voice inside him said, "Turn around and pray for this man." At first, he hesitated. After all, he had just declared me dead. What good would praying do now? But the voice came again, stronger this time. "Turn around and pray for him." So, out of obedience, Dr. Crandall turned back. The nurse looked at him, confused, wondering what he was doing. My body was lifeless. Medically, there was no hope. But he stepped to my bedside, placed his hands on me, and prayed. It wasn't some grand, earth-shaking prayer. He simply cried out to God for my soul, asking if I hadn't yet known him, that God would raise me from the dead. In that darkness, where I felt so completely alone, something began to change. Bright lights started swirling around me, piercing through the emptiness. Out of those lights, a figure emerged. I couldn't fully make out who or what it was, but there was a sense of peace, a feeling that everything was going to be okay. I wasn't alone anymore. Dr. Crandall, still standing by my body, finished his prayer. Then, feeling led by faith alone, he turned to another doctor and said something that seemed impossible. "Shock him one more time." The other doctor looked at him like he was crazy. "We can't shock him," he said. "He's dead. He's been dead for almost 40 minutes. But Dr. Crandall insisted. For me, just shock him one more time. Out of respect for him, the doctor reluctantly grabbed the defibrillator paddles and placed them on my chest one final time. The very moment the shock hit me, my heart started beating, not weakly or irregularly, but strong and steady. My chest rose and fell as my lungs started breathing again. My fingers twitched. Life surged back into my body in an instant, and I was alive again. They rushed me to the ICU, and 3 days later, I woke up. When I opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was my daughter, Jillian, sitting next to me. She was the one who told me what had happened, that I had died, been clinically dead, and then been brought back by nothing short of a miracle. Dr. Crandall came to see me that Monday morning. I'll never forget what he asked me. He said, "Jeff, where were you that day I prayed for you?" I told him the truth. I was in total darkness. I was so disappointed. He looked at me, puzzled. "What were you disappointed about?" "I was alone," I said. "Alone for eternity." Dr. Crandall asked me then if I was ready to accept God into my heart, and that's when everything changed. I didn't hesitate. I knew that this wasn't just a second chance at life. It was a second chance at my soul. So I opened my arms, let go of the darkness, and let God in. I gave my heart to Jesus right there, and I'll never forget the overwhelming emotion I felt. I cried like a baby in his arms, realizing that God's love had not only saved me physically, but had also pulled me out of spiritual death. Since that day, my life has never been the same. I've been given not just a second chance, but a whole new life. I'm back at work, I'm healthy, and I still check in regularly with Dr. Crandall. Miraculously, I have no lasting heart damage, no signs that I ever even had a heart attack. And more importantly, my spirit is alive in ways I never could have imagined. I'm grateful every single day for this gift, and I want everyone to know that God is real, and so are his miracles. If you're watching this and you feel like you're walking in darkness, like there's no way out, I want you to know there is hope. God is reaching out to you, just like he reached out to me. You don't have to wait until you hit rock bottom or face death to experience his love and grace. He's ready to meet you right now, wherever you are. Thank you for listening to my story. If this testimony has touched you, or if you know someone who needs to hear it, please share it. And if you want to hear more stories of hope, faith, and the miraculous power of God, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're building a community of people who have seen God's goodness firsthand, and we want you to be a part of it. Because trust me, life is too short not to know the one who gives us second chances. Thank you, and God bless.